Have you ever wondered what might be inside the Kofmo funeral box at the end of episode 2? In the episode, the characters gather to hold a funeral for Kofmo, and Ratha tells Pomi about their tradition of having a funeral service to remember those who have abstracted. Kerr mentions that it is the least they can do to honor their memory. We see them standing next to a yellow box with Kofmo picture on top, but we never actually see what's inside the box. It's possible that the Kofmo body is inside because we know that Kofmo abstracted and turned into a monster, but we don't know exactly how abstraction works yet. Kao got obsessed with the exit door, as seen in his room with paintings and references, but the process of his abstraction remains uncertain. It's possible that when characters reach their breaking point, something comes out of their bodies, transforming into a huge abstraction with eyes all over its body. This would mean that the abstracted character's body stays behind while their data or personality, downloaded into the game, becomes the abstraction, causing havoc. Perhaps this is why the characters hold funerals, to ensure the bodies are not left behind in their rooms. If this is true, where was the Kofmo body? We only saw his abstracted version in his room in episode 1, so it's possible his clown body could have been hidden somewhere, or the abstraction, Kofmo data, could have moved it. Kane's sarcastic remark about Kofmo abstraction suggests he might have known about the Kofmo abstraction and could have taken the body somewhere else. It's interesting to consider the implications of the character's actions and the mysteries surrounding the abstraction process. The idea that the abstracted character's body stays behind while their data becomes the abstraction raises questions about the nature of their existence in the game world. The potential significance of the funeral rituals in dealing with abstracted characters adds depth to the story and raises ethical and metaphysical considerations. The ambiguity surrounding the Kofmo body and Kane's possible knowledge of the abstractions creates an intriguing layer of suspense and intrigue. If Kane teleported Kofmo body away, it would imply that Kane knows about the abstracted characters and takes care of their bodies each time, possibly leaving the abstracted versions behind for the circus members to find. This would be quite cruel, especially considering Ragatha Payne. It also raises the question of what would happen if someone abstracted while around other people. Would they go crazy and start trying to destroy everything, potentially causing others to abstract as well? And would Kane be able to find them? Additionally, what happens if someone abstracts during an adventure when Kane isn't there to supervise? These are intriguing questions that may be answered in future episodes, and I'm eager to see how abstraction actually works. It's known that Zubal prepared everything for the funeral, so if Kamo really had his clown body, it would mean that Zubal got the body into the funeral box all by herself, dragging it from the dorm hall down the stairs. However, this seems unlikely. Instead, it's more probable that the box contains Kofmo belongings. I believe Zubal went into Kofmo room while the others were on the candy carrier adventure, gathered his favorite personal items, and placed them in the box to make it more personalized. In Kfo's room, there were toys thrown around in a music box, so it's possible that these items were included in the funeral box. The ethical and practical implications of the characters' actions and the mysteries surrounding the abstraction process continue to provoke thought. The potential consequences of someone abstracting while in the presence of others add a layer of tension and potential danger to the narrative. The idea of personalizing the funeral box with Kfo's belongings adds a touching and humanizing element to the story, shedding light on the characters' emotional connections and the significance of personal items in their world. It will be fascinating to see how these threads unfold in future episodes and how they contribute to the overall understanding of the game world and its inhabitants. It would be fitting to include KFO's beloved music in his memorial funeral box, as it represents his personality. I genuinely hope we learn more about Kamo in the upcoming episodes. Even a small flashback or just the characters mentioning what Kamo was like would be greatly appreciated. It's important to understand how he abstracted, especially since Gooseworks mentioned wanting Kamo to be part of the main cast originally. This suggests that some of his parts might have been already written for the episodes, making a flashback episode plausible. It's quite possible that we'll see an episode in the season dedicated to Kamo considering there are 9 episodes, each focusing on one or two circus members. For example, episode 1 introduced Pommy and provided insights into all the characters, while episode 2 centered on Gummy Goo and Pommy. Episode 3 is expected to be about Zubal and another character, perhaps Gangle. This pattern indicates that each character will have their own episode, with the last one focusing on everyone. If it's not Kofmo, then perhaps Kane or Palmy could be the focus. However, it seems unlikely for there to be a bubble episode. Despite potential tensions between Kofmo and some of the characters, such as Raged and Gangle, it's evident that they cared about him and held a funeral, emphasizing the significance of relationships within the circus. This theme is likely to be further explored in future episodes. Throughout the episode, especially with how we saw Palmy exhibiting similarities to Kofmo in episode 1, where she was already fixated on the exit and wanting to leave the game, it became an existential crisis for her. This theme was further highlighted in episode 2, with Gummy Goo and Palmy's dream about abstracting, possibly illustrating the reasons why people abstract, feeling uncared for, although in reality, people do care. It's their circumstances that make them feel otherwise. Perhaps this indicates that Palmy realized what Kofmo couldn't at the end of the episode, leading to his abstraction. Palmy now has a relationship with all the circus members except for Jax, who appears to be a loner and inclined towards violence. Hopefully, there will be a change in Jax's demeanor in a future episode. It seems that Kofmo was going through a similar process to what Palmy experienced, and his abstraction was likely caused by his own feelings of insignificance, not because the circus members didn't care about him, but because he believed they didn't. One of the paintings in his room indicates that he knows what the exit door looks like, or perhaps he wanted that to be the exit door. It's possible that Kofmo, like Palmy, went through his own exit door experience. Maybe Kane prevented him from escaping, triggering Kofmo's reaction and leading him to isolate himself in his room, fixated on the exit, ultimately resulting in his abstraction. Similarly to Palmy, Kofmo may have been in disbelief that he could never leave the circus. Subsequently, he may have chosen to be alone and focused on the exit, leading to his eventual abstraction. It's unclear how new Kofmo was to the circus. We know that Zubal was the most recent addition, except for Peony, while Kinger has been there the longest. What if Kofmo joined just a month before Palmy and abstracted very quickly? This would align with Kerr, who has been there for a long time without abstracting, likely for at least a decade, based on Jax's comment about their collective years of presence. Considering Cow's abstraction, perhaps his body is technically in the cellar with the other abstractions. Although we couldn't see how many were down there, it's probable that Kane sends every abstracted monster there to prevent trouble for the circus members. The dorm hall with the X's crossed out may indicate the number of people in the cellar, suggesting that all non-existent circus members have already had their funerals. Each of them may have a funeral box somewhere, possibly outside the grounds where they will be buried, akin to graves. However, the actual goings-on outside the grounds remain a mystery, as we've only had a brief glimpse from Kane. While we didn't see the digital carnival or digital lake in episode 2, it's likely that these locations will be explored in future episodes. It's uncertain whether the characters' boxes are outside or stored elsewhere, or if they were placed back in their rooms. The speculation surrounding the time frame of Kofmo arrival and his quick abstraction, along with the logistics of handling abstracted characters, adds an intriguing layer to the narrative. The mystery surrounding the cellar, the funeral boxes, and the grounds outside the circus grounds creates an air of suspense and anticipation for future revelations. The most plausible scenario, in my opinion, is that Kofmo belongings were placed in the box and returned to his room, positioned by the door to prevent further entry. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what might be inside Kofmo funeral box. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and click on this video here.